Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and you need to subscribe to this channel because I'm a big Mets fan, and I think if you want to follow what's going on with the Mets, even on this Christmas Eve, there's a little news. We'll get into that in a minute, but please hit the subscribe button where you watch this video, and please like this video and leave a comment. Whenever you leave a comment, it helps the engagement of this channel and helps the engagement of this video. Now, I've done videos on George Springer. The last video I did was about 3-4 days ago, and it's doing rather well, But we have a little bit of an update. Now, this is from a website called METS Online. I'll put the link into this. And if you're following what's going on with the Mets religiously like I do, and like I think some of you do, check out their website. They have a source about a little update, a rather interesting update about George Springer. Now, I'm currently doing, I guess I did a live stream on Wednesday, which I haven't done, because I didn't do my live stream last Saturday. I might do a live stream this Saturday. We'll see if I have time. I'll do my regularly scheduled one. There is some kind of things happening that it looks like Chili Davis is going to be coming back with the Mets as head coach. And we'll get into it. There's always something to talk about, Well, anyway, let me read you this headline from MetsmerizedOnline.com. Headline: Source: Blue Jays front office not overly optimistic about landing Springer. Interesting. Now, this is their website. It's a fan site, but I kind of take the fan sites pretty seriously sometimes. But sometimes not. The Mets blog was always a great site until they sold it. According to a source familiar with the Toronto Blue Jays thinking, their front office is not overly optimistic that they will be able to sign free agent center fielder George Springer over the Mets. While the source believes the Blue Jays will prepare a formal offer to present to Springer, the organization is apparently not too confident he would choose them over New York. Keep in mind, Springer is a Connecticut native and played college baseball for the University of Connecticut. It has been rumored that Springer wants to be closer to his family, which would make him and the Mets a match made in heaven. But that's not all. ESPN's Jesse Rogers will have a link to that, so when you go into this website, you'll have a link to this. Polled 20 executives around MLB earlier this week, and 13 of them believe Springer will be a Met if they want him. Quote, "It comes to this. If the Mets want him, they're going to get him," end quote, said one voter. On Monday, and that's when I did the video on George, ESPN, which is the basis behind my video, ESPN insider Jeff Passan reported that league executives think it's a two-team race between the Mets and Blue Jays for Springer's services. Toronto has been one of the more aggressive teams on a slow-moving free agent market, as they've been linked to several other top names available, including infielder DJ LeMahieu, the betrothed of the New York Yankees. And I would point out again, if the Yankees lose LeMahieu, either it be to the Mets, or the Blue Jays, or anybody, we will do a video mocking the Yankees, I can tell you that. If they are unable to land Springer, it's the Blue Jays, they could fall back on LeMahieu, who they've emerged as significant players for, as Bazan noted. They could also add another star free agent in a year where most clubs are cutting costs due to the financial fallout of COVID-19. Now, here we go. The 31-year-old Springer is coming off of a spectacular season, a short 2020 season. Springer is a 3-time All-Star MVP at the 2017 World Series and finished 7th in the MVP voting in 2019. Springer will be an immediate upgrade defensively for the Mets in center field over Brandon Nimmo, who was one of the league's worst with a -5 defensive runs saved last year. Defensive runs saved, that's defensive runs lost. I don't know why they go -5. They just say he gave up runs out there because his range is lousy. Now, we like Brandon. Brandon's a good outfielder, but he's not a center fielder. Not anymore, anyway. But we will keep an eye on George Springer, obviously, because he's the big name, everyday player. He's got championship caliber. He's got championship resume. He's a big money player. He's big pitching, and that's important. You got to have a guy that's a big time hitter, in terms of just the and he's got a little more of these intangibles that you want for a team, and it shows us as fans that ownership is really taking things seriously, which I think they are. I think he is. I think Steve Cohen is taking it very seriously, but I think bringing in Springer will really, really set the tone. I mean, the tone has been sort of set anyway with this whole thing with bringing back Sandy and having the front office of Jared Porter and Zach Scott, who've been with the Red Sox and the Cubs, and teams that have won multiple World Series. I mean, that's important too. You got to have background. It's not just about, I think I said in my previous video, it's not just about bringing in guys that are smart and all this other stuff. You got to bring in guys that have won, believe it or not, because then they know how to get there. They know what it takes to succeed. You got to be able to do things. Success is very important. You don't want to bring in people that don't have had success. I mean, you don't want to bring in, for instance, JT Realmuto, who's never won, never been on a team that's been on a winning team. A catcher's never been on a winning team. And when you have a catcher like that, it really, and then you put him on a good team, you get to find out what kind of player he is. Just to use the catcher as an example. And when the Mets brought in Mike Piazza, he'd been on good teams. And he'd been a championship caliber player and a Hall of Fame player before he got to the Mets. But those Dodger teams were good, and in large part to him. Gary Carter was on very good teams. Just to use another Met example, his team in '81 went to postseason and were close to going to the World Series, and they lost, unfortunately. But when you have these teams, when you have players that don't know how to win, don't know how to get there, it gets to be very difficult. Keith Hernandez, another example. They brought him in many years ago, as you know, and he had championship caliber experience. He was on a team that won a World Series in '82. He was an MVP. He won all those Gold Gloves. And George Springer is very similar to that in that he's been to the World Series several times. He's won the World Series, been MVP of the World Series. He's been an all-star. He's had a lot of home runs, a lot of big home runs in the World Series. So you need guys that have that championship quality, specifically for a team like the Mets, or a young team. I mean, without Robinson Cano on this team is young. I mean, other than Michael Conforto, who's played in the World Series, and Jacob deGrom with the Mets, and Syndergaard and Familia, this team does not have a lot of championships, experience under their belt. But when you bring in a guy of this caliber, and he's recently been to postseason, and he's been to the World Series several times, it makes a difference. So he's very important for the Mets off season, quite frankly. And hopefully they bring him in. I've been saying that they're going to sign him. He's the one guy I know they really want. He could be the center of this team for the next 3-4 years. Be the centerpiece of this team and be like an anchor to hold this team together as guys like Pete Alonso develop more into more of a championship type player, or the Mets develop a championship type shortstop. We don't know if Jimenez or Rosario are going to be the long-term shortstop here. I would rather see them play them. We'll find out who they are in 2021, and then in 2022 they can bring in a big shortstop if they want to. Either be Lindor or Seager. See, to me, those are the two best shortstops that are going to be on the market potentially next offseason, in my view. But this is what you want to think about. So when you talk about changing the culture, this is the kind of stuff you talk about. Who else can I mention from the past that we haven't seen? Pedro Martinez. That's a more recent time. Once the Mets signed Pedro, they were able to sign Carlos Beltran a month later. And then the following year, they brought in Delgado. And they brought in Paul LaDuca. It made a big difference. Just bringing in Pedro made a difference. Bringing in a guy that was that successful, one of the best pitchers of his generation, one of the best pitchers in the last few years, probably one of the best pitchers of all time, and a guy that just won a World Series for a team that hadn't won a World Series in almost 90 years. So when you bring in these kind of caliber players, it's very important. So that's why it's very important to bring in. That's why it's very important for the Mets to bring in George Springer more than Trevor Bauer and even DJ LeMahieu, quite frankly, because of this whole thing of bringing in a guy that can teach younger guys to win. It's very, very important. That's the one thing you cannot measure as a guy with championship quality at bats, championship quality record. And you can't underscore, no matter what happened in Houston, you can't underscore the experience. Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Leave comments. Leave likes. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about my channel. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. And I hope to have a video tomorrow. We'll see. And maybe there'll be a live stream on Saturday. Maybe. We'll see. If I can't come up with any content, I'll do a live stream. How's that sound? Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you later.